Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences, and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Silent Cartographer mission from Halo Combat Evolved on the next episode. This episode, we're debriefing Truth and Reconciliation from Halo Combat Evolved. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
It's sniping time!
Chief, on the last mission, Chief and Cortana dusted themselves off after their escape from a escape pod crash landed on the mysterious Ring World. They proceed to track down additional survivors in the cockpit or the rear-mounted turret of the iconic ATV Warthog. This mission, Chief and a group of Marines plan to rescue Captain Keyes by boarding a Covenant ship. That's it. But there's so much more to it.
It's a little more complicated than that.
It
but
sounds
just a tad.
if you were to sum it up
basic.
in a couple words.
Yeah, that's it. That's basically what we do. The date in the game is September 19th, still, 2552, so it's that evening. Later on in the evening after we crash land on the Halo. So today we're going to do it a little bit different because the mission, like I said, it summarizes very quickly, but there's actually a lot that goes on during the mission. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a round robin. We each made a top 5 list of kind of our favorite things from the mission, and we're just going to go round robin. If we then kind of missed anything that we think should be highlighted, then we'll talk about that towards the end.
Can I have a quick aside?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you got just any kind of maze and just put the map of Truth and Reconciliation on top of it, it would literally work. It'd be perfect.
Yep.
Just any maze.
That's very true.
It's like going through all the corridors. Like, what the fuck?
Well, and that's kind of where this came from, this idea, because I was, I'm writing notes, like, I play the mission, and a minute or two goes by, then I take some notes, and, like, describing where to go in the Truth and Reconciliation is just a nightmare.
Also, if you go back to the old graphics...
I kind of know it now.
Yeah. If you go back to the old graphics, though, they're just... All the doors look the same. They don't have that little, like, green dot that signifies you can go through it.
Oh, they don't?
So, I remember...
They do.
No, they don't.
I think they have some kind of green-ass light, no? Or the lights change colour around the door. They're like white, and then they go red when you can't go in.
Something like that. Sure. But it's so subtle you can't really tell. But I remember as a kid having to try every single goddamn door to figure out where the hell I was going. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like 2/3 of the doors are shut, or like locked.
It's like, what the fuck? Why did they add so many doors?
Why? It's a big ship.
Come on, Bungie.
All right, so we're going to go round robin, favorites from the mission, top 5. I will start, and I kind of start at the beginning of the mission, but I really like the encounters before you get into the Truth and Reconciliation. So, you have the initial encounter, and then you kind of climb up the hill, and then there's another encounter. It's like they did a really good job of giving you options to encounter it different ways. You could go up at this angle. You could go on one of those. What do they call them? Stationary guns, I think. There's kind of the man turrets,
shade turrets.
Lots of different ways. They have. There's a stealth. What do they call it? The little pickup that you get where you get the shielded armor or the stealth armor. Yeah, you get the triangle.
That's what I always called them as a kid. The triangle and the square.
You get a triangle at one point.
I've just never evolved past triangle.
There's one point too where kind of towards the top of the hill you can either go around the hill or you can like climb up the side and kind of get if you time the jump right and pick your feet up, you can kind of go on the other side of the hill. So I thought they did just a really good job of designing those encounters in general.
Well, they did a really good job at, you feel like you're storming a ship. You feel like you're you start off and the resistance isn't super heavy, but as you get closer and closer to the ship, the resistance gets heavier and heavier, it gets harder and harder. And then, there's more and more elites, and then you're dropping down guys. It feels really, really good, that first part of the mission. It's always one of my favorites. Yep. Also, you have the sniper, so it's really fun to just sit in the back and go bing, 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 bing.
It's well defended. It's not like, in some games when you're doing something as crazy as boarding an enemy ship, it's pretty easy to get on. Whereas here, it's like it's no cakewalk to finally get there, to get to that grav lift. David, why don't we go next for you? What's your number 5?
Cool. Well, one of the things that stood out to me when I was replaying it again is you kind of mentioned. I agree. I liked your encounter design. I like the bleed up to the map. The great music I think is really kind of cool in this.
Oh, it's so good.
Because it's like a stealth mission, and it's just like the start of it is all like really kind of quiet and subdued, and then like when you trigger the sequence, like if you get spotted or you kill all the enemies, the music immediately switches to like the Halo kind of dun, and then like all the kind of reinforcements come around the corner. That's really kind of cool. And then like when you kill all them, it goes back into stealth, and then like the music changes again and goes into like this real kind of
the like, singy choir kind of
like dun. It's like really kind of cool and kind of really like laid back, really subdued. I like
the beep
really
boop
cool.
music.
The beep boops. Yeah, it's cool.
Music is good. Music is great in this game in general. And
it is.
Eventually,
Marty O'Donnell.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shock when you're playing the shooter game, and it has this weird like chanty, classical monk music. But then after a while, you realize it totally fits. It totally fits Halo, and it carries through all the games. It's great.
Something I noticed is when I was in the big hangar in the ship, it's doing the bump, ba-da-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da, and then it just suddenly stops, and like it just killed my momentum. Like, because I'm trying to get through this mission as fast as I can, and then it stopped, and I'm like, why do I feel so draggy now? I'm like, wait, the music stopped. It just totally killed me.
There's a few sequences like that, yeah. If you move too fast, the musical cues just kind of chop. And they kind of cut the song in the middle.
Or that'll just stop the song. There was a weird in that hangar. I had a weird glitch where Cortana like wouldn't tell you that she's unlocking the door, and then eventually my game froze and then just crashed. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, no.
That happened to me before, where like I used to think there's an enemy somewhere that I just haven't killed yet, and Cortana won't unlock the door in the hangar, and I spent ages trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I just kept going back and forth. Restart. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but the game crashed and then it fixed itself. I'm like, oh, that's great. But it made like a horrible noise when it crashed. I'm like, oh. Anyway.
What's number 5 for you, Krista?
Blowing up Captain Key. Just Cortana, she's so disappointed. The captain, he's dead.
That happens quite a bit at the end when you finally rescue him and you're escaping.
Oh my gosh, it's like you can't, especially if you're playing on harder difficulties, you just can't throw any grenades because he'll fucking stand right on top of it. You're like, dude, there's a grenade.
Oh man, on Legendary, it's so tough. You really have to run ahead of them and like not let them fire because they kill themselves with the needler.
They do. Oh.
And it's funny, there's an actual glitch bug in the game about that. That like there was an earlier bug in development where Keys had the AI behavior which was taunt enemy corpse. So he'd pick up a needler and fire it into a dead soldier right beside him, like it'll explode and kill him. Like Joseph Staten actually like said this.
God
like,
damn it!
I've seen that. It's so frustrating.
This is why Keys is the fucking worst in this game. Holy shit, he's so bad. He's like Princess Peach. He's cool in the books though. We'll get into that later. But every time I kill him, I just want the voice like, "Mission failed. We'll get him next time." I'm like, oh no, poor Keys. Yeah, he blows up quite a lot.
I'll go to my number 4 since we made it through once. Mine is actually finding Keys. That's a cool moment. So before Keys starts to murder, kill himself and commit suicide throughout the end part of the mission.
Stand on grenades. This is a good place to stand. Keys, you have the entire fucking corridor. Don't stand on the grenade. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm ranting
finding him is a cool, opening when you're finally like, oh, okay, like I'm in these, like he's in these jail cells, one of these jail cells, and you finally get to the one where he's in. And remind me, are there stealth elites in there already?
Yes, there are like 3 of them in there.
Yep. So
yeah, there is, and if you're really kind of clever, you can kill them with like one hit.
Yes.
From behind them.
Yeah.
That is cool.
You double stealth them.
You can. I love like seeing the stealth elites like walk around. It's just like a floating sword sometimes. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, like they're super obvious. It's funny.
Great. It's really funny, but
he gives some good information there too.
It's really good exposition. It's the first time you actually hear like what everything's called.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how did he overhear the aliens?
Yes. That's a good question.
Well,
Wart.
not
Oh
understanding-
my god, it's called Halo. Wart. Oh my god, it's gonna kill the universe. Wart. Oh Jesus, they're looking for the
You know what
control
it is?
room.
It's like
really
talking to
funny.
your dog.
There was a level cut in the game, so that cutscene was added in to substitute for all that
Oh.
information you should have gotten in a level that didn't exist in the release game.
Really?
So they put that together. So I guess they never really cobbled together that they didn't understand what they were saying or how he overheard them. I don't
Okay.
know.
I also
But,
thought that maybe they wrote that into one of the books that like Keys understood saying Healy somehow. Maybe.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Maybe they did.
No, it's
that.
not in the
Did-
Flood. The book, The Flood.
Well, it would have been in what's the one you guys just did a book club
Cole
on it.
Protocol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially been in there.
That's a really good. If you think that Keys is stupid, read the Cole Protocol, and then you will think he's cool again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's also cool in Reach.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Well, I mean, the Reach book. Okay, I thought you meant the game because I'm like, you only see him like one time, David. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
and he's cool.
He's cool. That one cutscene, he's so super cool. He's not dead. He's not captured, and he's not floody. Super cool.
So at this day, we meet him, and he does say they call it Halo. It's a super weapon. They want to use it. He kind of connects the dots and says, "Oh, well, if they get a hold of this weapon, then they could probably wipe us out. Wipe
And then
out all
Cortana
humanity."
says-
he's kind of reaching there, but what'd you say?
And then Cortana talks about the control room, which leads into the
Yes.
next mission. But that particular cutscene always gives me chills. It's like panning around Master Chief's helmet, and then it's got the chanting, like singing people, the singy people, the monkey
Yeah,
people,
The,
but
the
monk-
monkey. Ooh, yikes!
the
monks.
monk people.
Right.
Okay. Yes, the Jirohane are singing this. The monkey
That
people.
probably is actually. David, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the overall kind of mission design in terms of it's a stealth mission and it's Halo's first stealth mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I always really liked playing with the loosely, let's say, stealth mechanics in this game. So in terms of like if you hit someone from behind and kill them, you can remain stealth. Also in this game, the sniper rifle allows you to stealth kill,
Which is great.
even though it's the loudest bloody gun you've got, and it's just like you're sniping people, and like they'll see a corpse collapse and they'll like go "Roar, roar, roar," and then they don't do anything. Like it doesn't.
They look at it and they're
doesn't
like,
knock you out
that
of stealth.
sucks. That sucks for Jerry. I'm gonna
It's
miss
like
it.
you complained about a stomach
Yeah, like-
ache earlier.
Sometimes the grunts will run around.
I didn't
or
know
the
stomach aches
jackals will
blew
run
up
with their shields up.
pens. It's kind of weird.
Jesus. So I like that.
Yeah,
is
and it
good.
continues throughout the beginning of the mission. Well, the whole outside of the mission, but then also while you're in the ship, you can be, hidden.
There are certain rooms, that you can stealth your way in. Like I think the control room, if you're careful, you can stealth a bunch of those enemies
Mhm.
before alerting the zealot on the bridge or the sword guy. But it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. What are we on? Krista, number 4.
Oh my gosh. So when you first get up into Truth and Reconciliation, if you are playing on Legendary, you might remember there's just about 400 sword elites that start to come at you. Stealth sword elites.
Oh man, soloing that is so tough.
It
It is so
sucks.
tough.
It sucks because they're really easy to kill on lower
It's brutal.
difficulties, but on Legendary they're pretty tough, and they just come in like one after the other. You'll just see the door open, nothing come out of it, and you're like, oh, shit. And then you'll see another one, and you'll see another one. I think there's like 3 or 4 on Legendary at that part, but it's still like, oh god, there's just a bunch of like lightsabers slowly coming towards me. What's
You
going
kind
on?
have to get lucky, don't you?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I usually hide on top of the Wraith in there unless they swipe the Wraith and then it explodes and kills you. So you have to be careful. You blow up the Wraith and then hide on top of the Wraith because it won't blow up again. That's what I usually do.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
I guess I didn't think about that. I think I just like somehow hid in one of those side rooms. I don't know.
or
it's
you can
brutal.
just grab the triangle and hide.
Yeah, right. The good old triangle.
Best triangle. I was surprised at how many sword elites are actually in this mission. I totally forgot because once you go through the bridge and there's one of them, the gold elite with the sword, and then if you come back, there's like 2 more stealth sword elites when you come back through with keys. And they'll just ruin your day and kill keys, and it's really sad.
We haven't talked about it really yet, but because we played Reach first, there's a lot of things that you can do in Reach that you can't do in Combat Evolved, and one of the things is you can't wield
A sword.
A sword. which is disappointing, especially after you had a lot of fun with it in Reach. But
I'll have to look up the
again.
lore again, but I think it actually is a lore explanation. It's like a different style of sword that actually detonates when the user dies or something like that.
Oh, okay, like it's
It like destroys itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up again. I remember doing a section on that way back in the day, but
That's cool.
I'll do some more research I'll get back to you next time.
Yeah, I love it when they do that. They explain weird stuff with smart
And
stuff.
you can always tell that it's just some retconned, like, oh well, you couldn't wield the sword because of this, huh?
Right. So there.
Do you accept that, community? Are you happy now? No.
I don't mind that kind of stuff, to be honest, because how are you supposed to tie all these things together for so many years?
Oh,
and
I
so
know.
many
You have to have weird
mediums.
explanations. I don't. It's not necessarily that I don't like them. I just find them amusing.
True.
So number 3 for me is cloak delete. So we just talked about that essentially. So we can kind of move on to David. What's number 3 for you, David?
My number 3, which I appreciated being a rubbish sniper, is that this game gives you like a crazy amount of ammunition, like 68 rounds. So well over the maximum amount of ammo that you can carry for the sniper. So it's pretty cool. I think there's an achievement in this game for carrying the sniper all the way through this mission.
Yep.
And I enjoyed doing that. And obviously that large ammo clip was made that quite helpful. There's a lot of also human... this game in general is great for this. There's a lot of human ammo dumps scattered all around the game. So in this mission, there's loads of like areas. I don't know what the lore reason is, but like there's a bunch of them. Like there's dead Marines all out through... throughout the ship and stuff like that. And there's always like ammo and stuff around them. So it's always been really useful.
Yeah, I paused for a moment when I came across a dead Marine like already on the ship in a couple spots. Like, wait, what? Maybe he got captured or escaped or something, and then all of a sudden all his ammo's just sitting there. I'll take it, but
exactly, they're very useful. So I enjoyed that. I like the extra ammo boost. So I think there's another mission in Reach. I think we talked about that. It's kind of like this, where they kind of harp back. They give you some extra sniper ammo and extra pistol ammo. That's the mission you have with June.
Nightfall.
Which you're going to. I say Nightfall. That's the mission. Yep. So it's kind of that level is very reminiscent of this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
in
that
many
level
ways.
was highly influenced by Truth and Reconciliation.
Yeah, big time. They wanted to give you those vibes again of like sniping around a cliffside with a sniper rifle with more ammo than it normally carries.
And it does work, but it's just never the same as this particular mission. There's just something about this mission that's so...
it's nostalgia, this mission, and this one's first. And, you play it so many times, and I don't know, it's cool. So I appreciate that a lot.
This is the first mission for me playing on normal on that playlist that I did finally have to pick up a Covenant weapon. I probably don't have to if you're a better shot than I am, but... Well, at least on normal. But I picked up the plasma rifle. That's the one that's my go-to one. I feel like that one feels like a good, like maybe I don't know, realistic alien weapon. Like it feels like that would be, something that an alien entity would be using, and it sounds good. It feels good. I like how it kind of burns out eventually, or it overheats, and then you can't use it after a while. So that's kind of my go-to in this game for Covenant weapons. Number 3 for Krista.
Mine is just generally shooting the Covenant. It just in this mission, it just feels really, really good. The big evil of this game hasn't quite showed its face yet in complicated things, and it's just pure, just point and shoot, just kind of like hanging out. You're like just popping some Covenant. It feels really, really good. You feel super powerful. You feel super cool. You're raiding this alien ship. They're coming at you, but you're surviving all of these waves and just mowing them down. It just feels really, really good. It's one of my favorite things about CE is the levels with just Covenant feel really, really cool. Very simple, not super complicated. You're still doing cool stuff, but once the can we talk about the Flood? Do we want to talk about that yet?
Let's wait.
Okay. But once that other entity gets added into the mix, stuff starts breaking down. So these are always my favorite missions because they're so chill. It's like awesome, just quality Halo.
I don't see it in anybody's
pure Halo.
Yeah, totally. I don't see anybody's notes, but we kind of mentioned it when we were chatting before the show. Just the complexity of the ship in general.
Oh my god,
it's just a mess.
Yeah, I think we said that before in terms of like the Pillar of Autumn is difficult to navigate, and the Truth and Reconciliation is also difficult to navigate.
They're just like corridors. We love corridors. Also corridors that just don't lead anywhere. Let's just put at least 30 of them in there just so the player gets really mad and frustrated. Let's also not mark what doors can be open and what doors can't until 10 years later, until they update the graphics.
Right, exactly. And it makes you feel like you're in this giant ship, which is good. And I'm sure like you probably could map out this thing to scale, the Truth and Reconciliation. But in terms of gameplay, it does get really confusing over time. All right, so number 2 for me, we've kind of already been talking about all mine. You guys are stealing all mine. The sniper rifle in general. We did mention the sniper rifle in Reach and how good that felt and how loud it was and how it kind of crackled off of the mountains or whatever during the mission that you're in. And this one feels heavy. It feels very similar. And it's just a great weapon to wield, and you can take it a long ways throughout the mission, like we talked about that achievement. But the sniper rifle is good. Let's go on to David, number 2.
David, number 2 is the Hunters. So the Hunters are introduced in this mission.
Yes.
So these guys, really, really cool. So these guys used to, back in the day, scare the crap out of me.
Unless you have
so
a pistol,
tough.
and then it's one shot.
Unless you figure out the weakness. I know you have a sniper in this game, but I suck at it, so there's an element of... There's a cool moment where the grav lift, and you've killed all the waves of enemies, and there's one final wave coming down. 2 hunters come down by themselves, and they just wreck shop. So they're pretty cool. If you're in any way half decent shot with the sniper, you can line yourself up and get an easy kill as they're dropping down, and then try to follow up with the second one. So, but I think the Hunters are cool. I've always liked them. Like what they actually are in terms of lore is quite fascinating.
Oh, the Lek Golo.
Yeah, the Lek Golo. They're like these hive-minded worm, sentient kind of worm creatures that like each hunter is a colony of worms working together to achieve what they do, and they like eat all sorts of like stuff. Like they love Forerunner tech. They like eat it. So it's really kind of crazy. So
do they do you know, or does anybody know if they designed the hunters just to look cool and then they like figured out that they are a bunch of worms?
So
I have no idea when that came
you
out.
mean when Bungie decided that they were a bunch of worms?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there was anything like when Halo CE came out. There wasn't that much lore actually written, so I have no idea what they were thinking. I think it wasn't until like Halo 2, Halo 3 era where we actually got some information on the Lek Golo and the Malek Golo, which the Malek Golo are at the actual colonies, so the actual hunters are called the Malek Golo, and then the individual worms are called the Lek Golo. So
yeah, you could see them definitely in Halo 2, that there was actual worms in them, because there's also the worms that are in the I'm blanking on what they're called now.
The scarabs in Halo 2 weren't compromised of the Lek Golo. It was the scarabs in Halo 3 that you could see the Lek Golo. They're two different sets of scarabs. So the scarabs in Halo 3 have the Lek Golo. So the scarabs in Halo 3 are just basically giant hunters. But I think the Halo 2 ones are only machinery. Cool. It gets very complicated
game,
with...
They have like a fuel rod cannon, essentially. So they fire big bursts of shots. And they're paired. So they're like, whenever you kill one, the other one goes crazy. This is essentially what they're supposed to happen. So you may notice that you'll get they'll charge you all the time and stuff. So these are pretty cool. So I always like the addition of hunters. That was pretty cool. And they're just a unique life form that I appreciate.
What's number 2 for Krista?
Mine actually has to do with hunters as well, and it is keys just click-clacking the hunters with a ship. It's just so good. Click-clacking, yeah. You just click-clacked them right in the face with the giant ship. It was interesting how they used the U of the ship to hit them. I just thought it was really, really cool. Yeah, to get around the pole and hit them. I don't know why, but it always stuck out as like super cool, especially as a kid. I'm like, you just hit him with the ship. That's awesome. It's a weird looking ship. I'm not sure if that would actually work, but he hit him with it.
Yeah, totally would work. I like his comment too. He says, "Time for a little payback."
Yeah, and then
takes
just
him
bop.
out. That's essentially my number one. The end of the mission where you kind of hop aboard, and Keys is talking about, no, I'll drive. I'm good. Cortana says that she can drive it, and Keys is just a badass. It's great.
In this particular mission, I agree.
He kills himself, he's badass, can do everything.
He likes to stand on grenades. He finds the grenade from across the map and decides to stand on it.
Right. That's one of my favorites. So that's my number one of my list. Let's see here. I'll just mention, I put the worst, and we already talked about it, is on Legendary, that loading bay initially when you go up the grav lift is just brutal. It's just horrible.
I think it's cool though. I really like the loading bay. It's cool that it's so hard,
but it's a very everything has to go right in order for you to get out of there. I mean, especially if you're not super skilled. I wouldn't consider myself super skilled at shooting.
Get good.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I've spent an hour or two just trying to get everything to line up right. Then you could finally continue on the mission. David, how about you? Number one?
Number one, we kind of talked about already. Just the overall intro sequence I really loved. I loved just how you're dropped off from the Marines. You stilt your way through. The kind of layout that it gives you you go around these kind of cliffs. The skybox is really cool, and just going up around the cliffside and doing all those kind of things in the mission I really liked. And when you get to kind of the open area, you have a choice of go up the middle or go left, and you can kind of flank around and you kind of fight. I liked all that, and then you kind of funnel your way in to where the grav lift is.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought that was really cool. One kind of interesting note is that the original design was a big ramp leading up into the ship, which they originally then scrapped in favor of designing a gravity lift. So I always thought that was a particularly interesting thing to say, that they originally didn't have these kind of grav lifts, which when you think about it now is kind of weird because how much of the Covenant tech that we see through the universe has these kind of gravity lifts and sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah, good point.
So it's kind of cool. It's kind of to see that technology, and just it looks very kind of cool. I like the idea of it. You assaulting this wounded carrier and using their way of dropping off their troops and supplies to get yourself back in, and I don't know. It's cool. It's just an overall cool concept and a cool idea for a mission.
Before you get into that, the grav lift. I like how they drop a bunch of people down, they drop a couple squads down to defend as well.
You can get reinforcements if your Marines die and stuff like that. And I think there's ways of glitching that where if you run ahead and trigger a checkpoint and you don't have any Marines with you at that time, so they're further behind, Full Hammer will trigger and come in and drop in more Marines.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can end up with double the amount of Marines and stuff like that.
Just break the game with the amount of Marines you have.
Yeah, but they're not particularly useful, I guess.
Number one for Chris
in this game.
Mine is actually the assault on the grav lift itself. I just like, the waves and waves of enemies, and you're holding off, and then finally the hunters drop and the music starts. You're like, what the hell are these?
Right, yep.
And then you finally get to go up and watch Chief do a Superman. It's great.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, the Marines cheer on the way up too, which is great.
They're like, woohoo, let's go. And then Chief's just he looks down, he looks up, and he's like, Superman.
Oh, I had a quote, I think. One of the Marines, when you actually get up into the loading bay, where is it?
No, it looks like
there's a guy in a heavy East Coast accent. He goes, hey, think that nobody's home.
It's so good. I like how the Covenant changed tactics between when you're on the ground and when you're actually up in the ship. Because when you're on the ground, they're just sending forces and forces, and once you're in the ship, they're like, all right, time for the stealth elites. Mm-hmm. And they just stab you and kill you.
Yep.
So good.
All right, why don't we do some community feedback first, and then we'll talk about the super important, interesting terminal
Mega
in the control room. We didn't really talk about the control room, so maybe we'll do a little lead up on that control room, just kind of that encounter before you talk about the terminal, Krista.
All right, no problem.
Let's do Facebook first.
The Facebooks. So we got a few in there. We got Jesse White. So that's for kind of his favorite moment. So he's at the very beginning, starting off that UNSC sniper rifle and flanking the first group of enemies. So a lot of people like that as well. Christios Sidiris. He agrees for a mission the whole franchise. Best part of how each area joins together, but they all have a different approach to killing a group of enemies. I agree. It's a very well designed map. Sorry, I'm after clicking the wrong button, and now my screen is gone.
Oh, good.
That's not very useful whatsoever. So, sorry. Jet Higgs said, when you enter the ship for the first time and the cloaked elite attacked, they wipe out your squad and chase you. One of the worst, best encounters of Halo. Yeah, that was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on the higher difficulties. So, yeah, everyone kind of agrees, oh man, on hard solo, this sucks. And there's some good quotes throughout the mission itself as well. So, I like that kind of throwback to like the Aliens movie where like you have that Marine freaking out in the control room. He's like, we're screwed, man, we're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And you have kind of Keys shouting at him, toughen up, Marine. That's pretty cool. It's like Hudson. He's like, oh man, game over, man, game over. So I like all those the alien kind of Easter eggs and throwbacks in this game. It's pretty cool. So that's the Facebooks.
Krista on the Twitter.
Over to you, Chris Brown.
The Twitters. Da, 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 da. Okay. So at Halo Campaign says that this is his favorite level in CE, one of his favorites in all of Halo. He says there's a lot of good bits. He likes the waves of Covenant coming down the gravity lift. The 3 pairs of CE hunters that you have to battle throughout the mission, holding off invisible elites in the hangar. He says it's all great fun. Also, he says that Keys is an incompetent buffoon, spends all his time in CE strutting around with an empty gun and getting captured by Covenant first and then the Flood later. So, a little spoilers, but...
He sounds like he listened to the show before we recorded the show.
Maybe he did. Maybe he's here right now. Hello? He is at Halo Campaign, so he's just the embodiment of the Halo Campaign.
Right.
Our friend Oren Domingue, I don't know who that is. No idea. Boo, Oren. If you don't know, Oren's on our normal show, Podcast Evolved, the main show, so we can make fun of him. But he says Truth and Reconciliation is the first mission that really makes you feel like a badass operative. Missions 1 and 2 are pretty reactionary, not sure exactly what's going on. You rally the troops in Halo, but Truth and Reconciliation puts you in a hot situation to extract keys behind enemy lines. So, and then he does #snipes. Great, Oren.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that is. What is a hashtag?
Great use of social media.
Yeah. I don't think that hashtag is trending at all, Oren.
It's a pound. It's a pound sign. It's not a hashtag.
Pound sign, yeah. Pound snipes. What does that mean? Is that a person?
Yes.
Let's see. Paul at KA5 or KA5 says the fact that this isn't 2 missions is my least favorite part of the mission. He says his favorite part is just starting with a sniper that has like 5 million rounds. Mm-hmm. So it seems like he wants 2 different missions between like going up to the ship and then another mission inside the ship. Mm-hmm. I think that would make this mission a lot shorter. We haven't really talked about this, but this mission is a pretty long one compared to the other ones because like Halo's really short and Pillar of Autumn's really short. So this is the longer mission of the 3 that we've played so far.
I like that about it though. I like that it's a good long mission that like it is a mission that you execute from start to finish. I like that. Yeah. It's like your first, like Orange did, like kind of your first take on, you take the offensive for the first time in the game essentially. And I like the implication of that, you know, you're not reeling from the attack and everything that's kind of happened. And the Flood kind of fleshes it out a little bit more, that novel, in terms of like what else is happening in the background and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool.
It is very maze-like. Like you kind of wind up the hill, and then you wind around and up into the ship, and then in the ship you're winding around and finding the right doors, and you're winding around, and then you wind back. So very mazy.
It's not a winding.
Mm-hmm.
Let me mention that the par time on this mission is 20 minutes.
That's not right.
That's speedrun.
You can actually skip a lot of this. You could probably skip straight to the grav lift at the very beginning and just run through.
I think I've done that before. I think when you're speedrunning the achievements for this in MCC, I've definitely done that before.
All right,
run.
Let's see. Matawan, Matawann, says his favorite mission was going up the grav lift and into the belly of the beast. I think that's what the subtext is there. Into the belly of the beast.
It is indeed.
Yeah. So, gotta love the subtext. Mwah, beautiful. Let's see. Dan the Man at Meta Big Donzo says this was his first campaign mission, and he fell in love with it. He likes how literally dark this mission starts. Like, if you go back to the regular graphics, it is impossibly dark. It's incredibly dark.
It's nighttime, Krista.
But I can't see anything.
Nighttime.
I can't see nothing. He said he says the darkness made it feel like a stealth op. Even though he didn't understand the game mechanics at the time of playing it, it's still one of his favorite missions to this day. And we got a lot of people that said, this mission's perfect. I can't think of anything that wasn't good. So shout out to you guys who said that. We got a lot of great feedback. So thank you everyone for responding to us on Twitter and Facebook. We really enjoy it. We really like seeing, what you guys are thinking of these missions that are so close to all of our hearts, because it's Halo CE. The beginning, the beginning of the end of our lives.
One honorable mention I'd like to say is the loading bay portion where Fohammer comes in and drops off a bunch of Marines, because I love Fohammer. But that's a good spot where Cortana calls for her and she's like, "What, really?" And then she decides to come in, drop off your reinforcements. They all die, of course. But I think it's a great kind of intermission in that in the level when you're inside the ship.
Yeah, that is cool when you see Fohammer's Pelican just drive right in through the bay and put people down, then drive out. It's pretty sweet.
All right, let's do Terminal. Talk about the control room quick, and we'll get out of here.
Okay, so the Terminal is in the main control room. It's the big square room with the giant, computer thingy ramp and the Gold Elite. The only Gold Elite in the mission is in the control room. You go through it twice, so you have 2 times to actually get this terminal. It is in the middle computer when you walk up the ramp. There it is.
The flashy red light.
Yeah, blinky red light. And this one is actually really, really interesting because I don't think we've really said it on this show, but I know we said it on Evolved. There is a very big difference between how the humans treat their AIs, their artificial intelligences like Cortana, and how the Covenant treat them. The Covenant always see how weird it is for us to have our AIs basically just, extensions of humanity, just another person that hangs out with us. Their AIs are much more. They're more like, they're computer slaves,
programs,
basically.
Yeah, computer slaves. Yeah, they do very basic grunt work. They're nowhere near as sophisticated, which I always liked that kind of dichotomy between how we designed our AIs and how Covenant did. But it's cool to see the difference, and I'm glad to see it. I always liked how much better Cortana was than the other Covenant AI.
Because this AI doesn't even have a form. He's just basically a block of light. So Guilty Spark goes in to talk to him, and he's like, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. I didn't say that you could come here. I said the Reclaimers could come here. You guys have to stop attacking the Reclaimers, humanity. And you guys have to stop looking through the Halo. You're about to unlock something that has crazy consequences. And interestingly enough, if you are playing this game through for the first time ever and watching all of these terminals, this is the first time that anyone has mentioned the Flood. Mm-hmm. And he kind of foreshadows everything. You're about to unleash something that you can't possibly understand. And at the very end, he's like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to disable you, Construct. But, unless the Flood kills us all first. And then it's like, okay, whatever. But
they show the transformation of that hand, too, which I think is pretty cool. They're like, what's going on here?
And they show the cells splitting and stuff like that. So,
and again, this is after the fact, so this wasn't in the original game. This is in the anniversary.
It's interesting how well the terminals actually conduct themselves if you're actually playing through the campaign first and watching the terminals. Mm-hmm. It actually, there's foreshadowing, there's, some explanation in them so that you're not in the dark. It feels like they're filling some story holes with these terminals, which works really, really well when you're playing through it. But another interesting thing about the Covenant AI is that it does not like the Covenant. It doesn't like being basically a tool for the Covenant to use, and he wants the Covenant to open the Flood, and he wants them to all die so he can be free. He always is talking about being free during this cutscene. So it's
interesting.
Yeah.
I never caught that. Yeah, I need to watch this again. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, he says, we follow the path. and I am part of the stone journey swarm that serves. We serve. They will find, and then I will be free. So he's basically saying that the great journey, he knows the great journey is going to kill them all. He will be free then, or he'll be free when the flood comes.
Oh, cool.
So, the AI, Covenant AIs don't like the Covenant, so he's not going to help them.
Forerunner AIs, right?
Covenant AIs? I think they're based off of Ancillas, but I don't think they are Ancillas.
Interesting.
I never got the impression that they were that sophisticated to begin with. But that's interesting that they would have. I didn't even think that they would have that level of feelings. Yeah, like that kind of concept of we're going to be free by allowing our masters to wipe themselves out. That's cool.
It is, yeah. I'm not sure exactly where. I'm sure the AIs are smart enough that they could build a consciousness and then hide it if they really needed to. So that could be what happened with the Covenant AIs. This is all speculation, by the way. This is about as much as we know about Covenant AIs. I don't think we've really encountered them in any other media. Are they in like really. Broken Circle or anything?
They're in one or two of the books.
Okay.
I'm sure there's like interactions between AIs with each other, with Covenant and human AI. I'm sure I've seen stuff written before.
Yeah, I feel like maybe on a Jackal ship or something like that, but
something like that, yeah.
Sure. Anyway,
but it's a good. This one doesn't have as many lore implications as some of the other cutscenes we've gone through, but it's still extremely interesting, and it still gives us a good insight into a particular part of the Halo universe that we haven't really been exposed to, which is the Covenant AIs. So
yeah,
good stuff. Thank you 343. For bestowing upon us the knowledge through these terminals.
More knowledge.
We go through the great journey with you, 343. All hail, Jeff Easterling, the master.
Hail, Jeff. Lore master.
The lore master. Bestow upon us the Halo Bible. Please, more streams. We need them. Anyway, this is getting really weird.
That's good. No, that's good. I think we should wrap it up there.
Perfect place to stop.
Let's just go.
With our prayer to Master Jeff.
Master Jeff, yeah.
All right, that'll do it for
Show
our debriefing.
us the infinite. That means so many different things.
Good Lord. That'll do it for a debriefing of Truth and Reconciliation from Halo Combat Evolved. On the next episode, we'll be covering the Silent Cartographer. Very ominous.
Yeah, best level.
Oh, really? Interesting. Send us
your
thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. Until next time, evolve.
Evolved. All right, good shit, guys.
Did you notice, Krista, that you probably don't listen to the show, but David always leaves your comment in at the end. Yeah.